What is up, everyone? Hello, and welcome to the TSMU Q&A series. I'm your host, Christian Lee. You can call me Christian, but everyone pretty much calls me homie. A little info on myself. I'm the global sales executive at TSM and Blitz, working with brands, making deals, being the first introduction brands have into TSM. Coming up with fun activations to help pitch TSM in esports. I'm your go-to guy for sales. I'm also your resident Gold 1 noob jungler who spams way too much Echo and Nunu. But anyways, today's going to be a certified banger because we're joined by an extremely special guest, my absolute good friend and partnerships partner in crime, Skye. How are you doing, Skye?
Hi, yeah, I'm great. That was an awesome introduction. I think between sales and partnerships, we're probably two peas in a pod. We're all obviously in meetings all day together. So
Absolutely. You guys are in for a treat because honestly, this is going to be more of an answer than an actual Q&A as we talk a lot. Fun fact, Skye actually has an adorable Doge Rainer you might see in the background who likes to waddle around the office doing doggy things. She also plays banger office music. Recently caught me into classical jazz coffee shop vibes. So definitely thank you for that. I walk around listening to that all the time during my work grinds.
yeah, actually yesterday, I think Alec called me out because I was apparently if you're in Discord, you can hear or see what people are listening to. And Alec is our awesome resident captain research at TSM. He called me out for listening to Queen. He's like, yo, who is actually sitting in Discord right now and listening to Under Pressure?
Just for your information too, world, basically a lot of times when we close our sales and partnerships meeting, it'll be close to these songs. So Skye, Alec are our DJs. Honestly a banger. So hopefully you can see that in this call.
Yes.
Just a quick, sorry, Skye, go ahead.
Go ahead, you go.
Just a quick reminder and overview for those who have not seen the show. For this Q&A, we'll be pulling questions from our TSMU Discord. So if you have any questions for Skye, head to discord.gg/TSMU and ask your question in the Ask Stream Questions Here channel. Once you've asked your question, join the waiting room voice channel to wait to be selected to join us on the show. While we get the questions in, Skye, why don't you tell us about yourself and what you do as a role in your partnership solutions executive?
Yeah, sure. So for me, I've started in the old grassroots of esports back when fun stuff. So I actually started out as more on the social branding and content side. I really enjoyed creating content. Being able to create more identities for players. I saw them more than just like a player behind a mouse and keyboard. So I started out there, social media, content and whatnot stuff for a lot of beginning teams back in the day. And then I started moving into more on the partnership side. I think it started out when I was working on a team called Echo Fox. We were a very small team early in the days. Basically, when I started, there was only 3 people actually working there. And I was like, okay, like I'm really interested in, doing what I already do, but, what is there to do more? Like, is there something that I can, help within the team? And so, oops, sorry, my Apple Watch is making noises. So I actually got into partnerships on that side because we needed help on that marketing and just branding side. So I started helping there, working with a lot of brands, and I really enjoyed it. And I felt like, although I love doing content, I love doing social media, I feel like my heart is in partnerships, being able to work with clients and having that communication and establishing those relationships at the end of the day. So I think that's where it started. And I just kept on going. I worked at a couple of other places prior to TSM. I worked with OGN. So if you guys may know OGN, they were the production company that actually started the LCK outlets, and then also a couple other ones, including Overwatch. So we actually expanded in California, and that's where I was working with them mainly in Manhattan Beach. And then eventually I landed at this wonderful place at TSM, and I've been enjoying it since. It's been an awesome place. It's been awesome people to work with. I miss our lunches. I know we've been all just working from home, but I do miss our random lunches and also our bi-weekly Friday lunches one day. But that was definitely very fun just to be able to work with like-minded individuals. And again, working with awesome partners. So yeah.
Yeah, no, gonna hit the world with a soon TM. Hopefully, we can all join together. Before we even jump into questions, do you think you can break down a little bit about the partnerships role? I mean, I think a lot of people don't necessarily understand the difference between, let's say sales and partnerships and how we work, but also how we're super interconnected, and just the open worlds of what brands you work with and what that means.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting too. I think people have not been able to been to decipher between the two, but I think it's because we're pretty much behind the scenes. But again, like I said, with in the beginning of the call, Christian and I are like two peas in a pod. We work simultaneously with each other in terms of like him trying to secure deals, and me trying to make sure that those deals are sound and executable. So I think in terms of the difference between each other, for partnerships on my end, I basically work with a lot of brands and making sure that, again, they are happy with the overall arching partnership, whether it's making sure that the deliverables are being executed on time, making sure that we focus on their brand goals as well. At the end of the day, especially at TSM, I think what we like to focus on is that at the end, deliverables should make sense for both TSM and also the brand itself. So basically, a lot of that stuff. There's a lot of more nitty gritty stuff to get into, but I think that is the overarching partnerships team. And then on the sales side, again, we work with them in terms of making sure that we help out the sales team with deals, whether the deliverables that we're offering make sense, making sure that we're establishing the goals that the partner is looking for, the potential prospect is looking for. So a little bit of both sides. I think we basically we would go together like peanut butter and jelly.
We are the dynamic duo. That's for sure. Let's jump into the questions. So we got a question from Nessex. What has been the most difficult learning experience that you had to overcome going into the esports industry? As well as how did the difficult learning experience carry you into your current position?
Yeah, I think the most difficult learning experience for me, I started in esports. So just to give you a little bit of background, I started in esports even prior to going into college. I was just very excited about the world itself. I grew up watching a lot of actually an old phone myself, but I actually really enjoyed Star League back in the day. So it's been a full circle being able to watch OGN content and then working there. But yeah, I was really into Brood War. I was really into StarCraft, and from there, I just basically laid back, watched that stuff, and got inspired. Once I was in high school, it's like I want to be a part of this amazing community and scene. So for me, the hardest thing was basically, and I always give this advice to anybody who's getting into esports or interested in esports or just in the professional world itself, know your value. I think for me, I was just so enamored by the like idea of working in esports, being able to work in a place that I'm so passionate about. I was not really like stepping back and being, whoa, like, am I being compensated well enough? Are people taking me seriously? And so for me, it took me a while. I think it took me a couple of times, and I will be honest myself. There's been a couple of times when I got burnt out. I was like, "Is this where I want to work? Is this the community that I want to be a part of?" It was definitely tough, and for me, I think it took some time. Despite being struggling and just figuring out what I wanted to do in esports, and whether I was actually being valued enough, I struggled. I went through it and I said, you know what? Like, why not? Like, I love this too far. I'm in it too deep at the end of the day. But I think what's really important in that sense as well is, and again, sorry, a little bit of a promotion here, but being able to have that a mentor or like someone to guide you in that mentorship, just knowing again, what can I do in terms of like how could I help somebody who's actually interested in esports or interested in partnerships. I think it's really important that we have these programs that are helping people actually understand what the space is, what it's going to be like, and giving them just overall arching experience.
No, those are absolutely great points. And what better way to find a mentor than at TSMU, a place, an environment bred for finding mentors and figuring out the space. So that's absolutely great. And I think it's really about, to align on your point on finding out what your passion is, what that niche in esports is, and letting that carry you. Right. So definitely great calls. We actually have our awesome guest, Panda Turtle. If you can jump that in. Panda Turtle, how you doing, man? It is great to see your name. I love it. I love the chutzpah. You're always out there. For you guys who don't know, Panda actually is great at messaging and kind of DMing, and we love to call that out and invite you back on the voice call. So how you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Are you guys having a nice day?
Great day that you're on board. What's your question, man?
So I was curious, when it comes to connecting brands and fans, I guess how do people normally measure whether or not it was like a successful connection between the two, I guess?
Sorry, I am having a hard time. Let me turn up the sound for myself. I have speakers on, but could you repeat that one more time?
So when it comes to connecting brands and fans, how is like measuring whether or not it was successful or not? I guess how does that look?
Yeah, that's a great question. So thank you for asking, Panda Turtle. I think it's really important that at the end of the day, the sentiment makes sense. Like when we work with partners or when we work with just awesome brand marketing deals, we want to make sure that it's not just a logo slap. We want to make sure that our fans are happy and engaged and enjoy it. So as you may see already, like on our YouTube channel, and we have a lot of awesome custom content with partners, presenting partner, but we have that fun, quirky, and very original content that our fans resonate with. For us, I think people may say like impressions, metrics, whatever it is like the sole reason of success for these campaigns. I personally don't think so. I think at the end of the day, it goes hand in hand. Fans are happy and they're enjoying it. And at the same time, yeah, of course, we want to make sure that in terms of impressions and benchmarks, we're hitting them.
And I think my second question was, I was curious if there was ever like a fear that like doing a brand connection could be like one-sided for either like TSM or the brand, like if that was ever like a thought.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a couple thoughts of that before. I'm just like, when I, work with a brand, I think back and I'm like, okay, is this like a little too much TSM or is this a little too much with the brand? We want to find that balance at the end of the day. I don't think that we want it to ever be one-sided. And again, it is an overarching partnership. So we have to go hand in hand in terms of our brand focuses, whether it's TSM or the brand itself.
Well, thank you. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, man. That's a great question. Thanks, Panda.
Yeah, no, thank you, Panda. You are awesome, and thank you for asking those questions.
Oh man, the patented Skye. Thank you. You should feel honored. Nice having you on, man. Bye. All right, we got another question from Tax Evasion. Lol at the name. As a Dallas Mavericks fan, oh, go Luca, let's go. An esports fan, Mark Cuban was one of the first big name investors I saw connected to esports. Yet he criticized the League of Legends scene in particular for being unpredictable with constant meta shifts. Having a lot of success concentrated overseas instead of America, and a space where most big investors don't understand enough for it to be a good investment. Over the years, as more large names investors dip their toes into esports, how have you seen the industry change, and how has your work changed as the brands you work with have gotten larger? I think the keynote is that the second part. Good question, lengthy, but yeah. So again, over the years, how have the large name investors dipped their toes into esports?
Yeah, I think in terms of like how our work has changed, in a sense, like we are working with non-endemic brands that have no idea what gaming is. They have no idea, what is gaming, what is League of Legends, what is Rainbow Six. So for us at partnerships, we want to make sure that we work with the brand in terms of, holding their hand and making sure like, hey, we are giving you the proper introduction when it comes to onboarding a new brand. So if they have questions about the game itself, I'll take the time and, either create a deck or, have a conversation with them and say, hey, this is what League of Legends is about. This is who our players are about. We want to be giving the partner a great onboarding process so they are overall understanding not only the space, but also TSM as well.
No, that's absolutely it, Skye. It's a great point, and I think from our end and our angle is really a lot of what we do over at TSM is helping educate brands, right? Especially these non-endemic brands, from areas that might not necessarily know too much about the scene in general or video game and esports. They come to us because they understand we're the top and we're the best performers. So a lot of it is a key education piece. Another question from Tax Evasion. He also asked, most sponsors in esports like Logitech or Lenovo Legion sell products that instantly correlate with gaming. However, recently there are more and more brands like Geico or Cadillac that don't really directly correlate with gaming. How do you help these brands introduce themselves into the build their reputation within the gaming community? And what additional difficulties come with working with these brands versus brands more connected to gaming? I think this goes back to the whole non-endemic, endemic kind of space. Oh, yeah, I think you're muted.
Wrong mute button. I muted myself on the platform. Okay, so in terms of working with non-endemic brands, I actually work very closely with Geico and Cadillac, knowing that again, gaming isn't as correlated with insurance and vehicles. It is really important at the end of the day for us to make sure the client understands the partnership, one, and two, the gaming side as a whole. So there's a lot of handholding, like whether, sales actually, shout out to the sales team. They set up a lot of the things to make sure that the brands already understand before they sign that contract. But for us, we come in there, we sit down with the client. We're like, okay, what are your brand focuses are, and how can we apply them to the TSM brand, whether it's social deliverables or it's content deliverables. We want to apply them seamlessly within the content pieces. So again, our fans enjoy and thank our brands to being a part of that concept. So I think there's a lot of onboarding process and making sure that there is complete transparency of what the game is and also what TSM is about.
100%. I just shout out to partnerships team. I'm gonna reiterate that one where it's a lot of setup too. So on the sales end, before we even hand over that neatly packaged bow to them, we let them know that we're not into this for one bespoke off piece, right? We're really looking for the right partners to help leverage that together, and part of that is obviously holding their hands, not just taking their money, right? And setting that up to hand it over to Skye to be able to kill it and crush it what she does. Cool. We have a little bit of a career-oriented question. Clevin Kaz asks, what was your first job / position in the industry, and what was that experience like? Ooh, Skye has some awesome stories. So great question.
Interesting. I actually didn't start out in partnerships when I first got into esports. I think my first role was a social media coordinator at a team that some of you may know or may not know, Quantum Gaming. I did a lot of their social stuff and I wrote like just fun articles about the players or recap articles, whatever it was. That was my first technically job there in esports. And then I continued to actually go in the content route. I really enjoyed writing. I really enjoyed doing interviews. And also like making sure that, we were putting a story behind all of these players that we work with. So that's where I actually began at. And then I was doing a lot of video interviews. I also worked with the score there where I came out and I actually interviewed LCS pros, also CSGO pros. And as much as I enjoyed doing that, again, it was very fun. I realized that partnerships is where I really shine at and what I really enjoy doing. So that's where I made the transition. But it was a fun adventure. I think in terms of esports, right? You're not always going to know where you want to be at right there and then. You can find interests where maybe you want to be a content creator, maybe you want to be a writer, or maybe you want to do film production, whatever it is. And you start from there and you start learning, working with other departments, working with different fields. Maybe that's not the place you want to be at, but this is something that you really enjoy. So I think my advice there as well, and this is a side thing, I think I went on a tangent, but I think it's really important to take your time and really just put your feet in, try to see what you like doing and see what you shine at doing. And sometimes you may not know right from there and then. But definitely for me, it has been an adventure for sure.
She also missed out on the Echo Fox phase where she was Rick Fox's right-hand woman, the best in the game. I've heard some funny stories on that one.
Yeah, for sure. And back in the day, like I definitely enjoyed working with Rick Fox. He was an amazing guy. I think he was very passionate in esports. So he's probably not watching this, but shouts out to Rick Fox. I think again, like being able to come from a non-endemic world, playing on the Lakers, and then also becoming an actor as well. He didn't understand esports as well, but with the passion that he had for the love for his son and wanting to get into the things that he enjoyed, he came in and created this awesome team. So it was great. I had fun adventures. Yeah, he was he was great. I went to so many tournaments and we played so many games with Rick. Like he really enjoyed PUBG and all those games. And for me, it was just like panicking. I was just like, I can't drive because I have someone yelling at me the whole time. But definitely an amazing, amazing guy to work with for sure.
That's awesome. So many shout outs, so many added value. Look at this show. All right, let's go on to the next question. We have a question from Parth, in parentheses, not TSM Parth, who asks, when non-endemic brands, is there a teaching process in terms of what esports is all about? Is that something that can be a red flag when considering whether or not that potential partner understands what they're getting into? Highlighted a little bit earlier, but yeah, I think you definitely dive into that point.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you so much for asking this question, TSM. No, not TSM Parth, but Parth, and you're just equally as awesome. I think this is, the really important part to make sure that brands are not getting burnt out, especially non-endemic brands. This is a new space. They don't understand what gaming is. They just simply want to understand it at the end of the day. And so whether, think of it as like talking to someone who's never rode a bike before. You have to have those baby steps and have those training wheels with the partner, whether it's having multiple calls with them and seeing what their concerns or questions are, creating decks, creating guidelines, books, whatever it is, giving them the tools so they understand esports and they understand the brand itself, so then they can step into this partnership and feel confident. At the end of the day, I think it's really important that we do make our clients feel happy, confident, and make sure that this is the type of partnership that they want to do. I think at TSM, hello, I am doing a quick ad for TSM, but I think at TSM we do that the best in a sense where we again are a premium brand that makes sure that we are catering to our clients and making sure that they are happy. Whether it's us making decks, numerous of decks, whatever it is, let me know so I can create that for you and basically create the tools and steps for you to understand where you need to get to.
Yeah, absolutely. No brand is alike. And obviously this comes on the sales end, but obviously with our current partners as well, that partnerships do on everything that we do to build a relationship with them and also to help educate them is different. Whether that's like Skye was saying, you hear the word deck a lot, which is basically a presentation PowerPoint, or sometimes it's a call and sometimes it's a text to update them. Hey, we just won, check this out. What does that mean? Right? Everything is different and every relationship is different. A lot of things about business, sometimes people look at really big picture. It's like, oh, stiff and suit and tie. No, a lot of times it's just building relationships and having that comfortability to call them and let them know and help educate them in the space in whatever medium way they learn best. So absolutely, great question.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. We have a question from Trevor. Trevor asks, you emphasize the importance of knowing your value when working in an organization. In line with that, as the esports and gaming industry has evolved, how do you think the value of TSM has changed, especially in relation with TSM partners?
Yeah, I think in terms of just like how TSM has changed, again, I think with all teams, but especially here at TSM, we're constantly adapting and making sure that our clients are, I don't know if you guys can hear, there's a siren going on. It's okay. The perks of living in Los Angeles in a very urban area is I get to hear this.
You're all right.
Anyways, that being said, going back to just in terms of how TSM is adapting, especially at partnerships, again, we want to make sure that we understand our clients, right? And we want to make sure that we improve our processes a lot better. So working together as a team, again, we work with so many departments, and we want to make sure that we have this seamless structure when it comes to, partner request or, partner concerns, whether it's, research and development in terms of, metrics and overall growth of the brand. I think, and that's the great thing. We have an amazing team. Shouts out to everyone there at TSM, especially the sales and partnerships. Ned, Megan, Christian, Nikki, and also Beth and Alec. We have an amazing team here, and we're constantly trying to grow as we see the value of our partners, and we want to make sure that, again, we hit those goals and make sure that they are happy at the end of the day.
If y'all can't tell yet, we're really a family. Lots of shout outs, lots of love. They feel the vibes. I'm sure if they're not watching, they're getting the tingle, the anime cough. Moving on to a question from Andrew. How do you develop the trust with non-endemic brands to invest spending in esports? It's a great question. I think sometimes it is, again, that education piece.
Yeah, again, it's really important to and this is what I'm always concerned about in esports as well, is that we have non-endemics brand coming in. We want to make sure that they're happy and they understand the space. It's not stick and ball sports, right? It's a completely different new world, and being able to set expectations right there and then during the sales process or the onboarding process with the partnerships team is something that we strive to do in terms of making sure that the client is getting the value and understanding that, hey, we are super happy with this partnership and we understand esports completely. And that takes process and time. It's not like, Rome was built in a day, right? So again, I think it takes time for us to basically cater to our clients' needs. And at the end of the day, it's not all clients are the same. We have to adapt and make sure that we understand what the client's needs are.
No, that's awesome. At this point, I'd actually like to give a reminder to everyone. Reminder to in order to ask questions, please head to discord.gg/TSMU and ask your question in the Ask Stream Questions Here channel. Once you've asked your questions, join the waiting room voice channel to wait to be selected to join us on the show. We love voice questions, guys. I think Panda Turtle I mentioned a bunch of times earlier, but he, if we hear your voice and then LinkedIn message us to get a response and help educate you guys, we think that's a crazy combo. So please, love to have you guys join the show. But if not, text questions are always welcome. We have a question from Derek N. If a specific activation is trending towards not hitting the partner's KPI, how do you approach that conversation, whether it is a proactive or no recap? And how do you maintain that good relationship going further?
Easy, complete transparency and true honesty. I think we should never butter our clients up and being like, oh, we'll just wait until a couple more days. I think it's really honest to say, hey, this campaign did this in terms of success. This is how we feel, and then this is why we think that this happened, right? So basically giving the reason why the campaign wasn't a full success, but also letting them know hey, we understand that, and we think that moving forward, when we do certain campaigns like this, we will strive for this specific goal. So the client understands that, hey, that one might not have been perfect, but again, we're looking to do better, and we're going to be honest with you. We're not going to lie to you and say well, we don't know what really happened. I think it's really important that, again, transparency and communication is vital to all partnerships. And so in terms of, I think all partnerships in general, just be honest. I think we shouldn't be scared of that at all. As long as we strive for, again, continuous growth and adaptation to make sure that, we are hitting their focuses, and also making sure that the fans are really reacting positively towards campaigns is really important.
No, that's awesome. 100%. No, definitely makes a lot of sense. And, going on to, we actually have another question from Andrew, who also asked, what would you say is the unique value proposition for teams to offer brands that would be better than going directly to the publisher or a league for a partnership? Oh, that's a great question. Kind of wanting the rounds of the difference between the organizations and esports. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting thing. I've worked with publishers before, and I've also worked with leagues as well. I think the difference is like the access of brands or the access of talent that you're being able to work with. Again, with TSM specifically, hashtag not ad. We have numerous of talent that we can work with. And we create for TSM, we make sure that our clients are not only our partner, but also our family. In terms of making sure that the difference between their partnerships and others. We don't want to be the one in the many partners that we work with. We want to make this a meaningful and long-lasting partnership with all clients. But again, the differences, again, I would say is just like it depends on the assets we sell and also like the talents that we have access to. And that's what's so awesome about TSM is just the uniqueness of numerous of teams that we work with. We are able to basically showcase that. And all of our teams, again, not ad, hashtag ad, but we strive for excellence and win. So we're here to win and we're here to work with partners that, understand that as well.
Yeah, and to give a little bit of light that from a sales angle too. I think a lot of things that TSM and esports has over a lot of these leagues is our flexibility and our growth and our willingness to grow with new game titles and everything new in popularity. Sometimes games get oversaturated, and sometimes the popularity of that game dies down. But guarantee you, on an esports team lens, what happens is we project what games are going to be hot. We pick the best team and we grow with the industry. Sometimes publishers and leagues are obviously defined by certain game titles and the popularity with that. What happens if everyone tomorrow, and this isn't gonna happen, but what if Arbor tomorrow doesn't play League, right? A partnership with Riot might be in trouble, but with TSM, we're gonna always flex around with the hottest competitive titles. I think at this point, actually, I have an awesome introduction to our next voice question, Spencer, or in this order is So and Sir. For you guys don't know, Spencer's actually my little cousin. Just so you guys don't know, this is a blood priority thing. I'm completely shocked. How you doing, little cuz?
Hey, Christian. Nice to meet you, Skye. Thank you for having me, guys. Yeah, I think so. I guess I'll just start off with my question. So as someone in the creative field, I really enjoy like making mock-ups and doing a lot of design things. So I was just kind of wondering how much impact can someone in the creative field have on like how strategy goes and like what kind of input they might have with the team? Because at least from personal experience in school and like projects that I've had, like I always find myself like going out of just the design role and like coming up with ideas and deliverables and all sorts of other things outside of my field. And I feel like there's like more that I can do besides just being a designer. And I hope maybe that there's more opportunity for that inside like esports.
Okay, first and foremost, I think what's really awesome is again a blood question right here with Spencer. Nice to meet you as well, Spencer. I think what's really important is just partnerships and sales work with a lot of departments. Where we basically are the connection with other brands and also other departments within the company as well. So we're working with the sales. I mean, of course we work with sales. We work with the content team. We work with the design team to make sure that our campaigns make sense. And so it's really vital to hear like your guys' thoughts in terms of like, hey, what is this overarching looks and feels to you? Do you think that this is going to be receptive well? And so I think again, everyone has a part to play in terms of partnerships. I think when you're working with brands, you're gonna need the experts, the best of the best, and you guys are the best of the best in that sense. And so we're gonna trust you guys and trust your judgment in terms of like designs or potential campaigns. We're gonna rely on everybody on that sense. So I think, yeah, you guys have a very, very vital role to play within the space, and I think it's applied not only in esports as well.
Yeah, and to go off of that, I think creative really drives our industry, right? Like anytime I'm in a pitch deck or anytime I'm making a pitch or coming up with ideas, I could talk about it for 12 hours. I could write down 5 pages, but they don't care about that. They want to see what it looks like, right? So I think a graphic designer lens of things is absolutely pivotal. And I think it just visualizes the narrative and the idea to help get brands excited. No one gets excited from a page of reading. Like no one does, like not a contract. They want to see what the event might could possibly look like. They want to see awesome ideas. And something at TSM that's really cool too is because we're such a small company, ideas come from anywhere, right? So I've been just talking to our graphic designers, helping them explain information, and then our graphic designers come to me and be like, "Oh, what if we do it like this?" I'm like, "That's genius, right?" Shout out to Monique, right? Like I think we come out with shout out to Max too. I don't want to forget him as well. Huge headline. But I think I would honestly say we're at a position in well, not only at TSM but a lot of other companies where a graphic designer is an absolutely pivotal role and probably one of the most important if there is ever to be a ladder.
Awesome. Thanks for answering my question. But yeah, it's good to hear that it's like a smaller company, so I can, have more of a voice if I end up there. But yeah, thank you so much for answering my question, guys. And yeah, have a great stream. I'll be watching the rest of it.
Yeah, no,
Thanks,
thank
Spence.
you, Spencer. Thank you for your question.
Thank you. Save me a
Awesome.
slice of pie at dinner. I'll catch you later.
Yeah, I'll see you soon.
Oh man, that's funny. Complete surprise. Did not know that was gonna happen. Really funny. Sorry, just popping on. Going on, we have another question from Tax Evasion, who also asked, the FTX partnership opens up many new doors for the org financially, but how does it affect the relationship between TSM and other brands? Does one brand joining TSM attract and or repel other brands? How do relationships between brands affect your job? These are killer questions, Tax. This is great.
Yeah, guys, and
Yeah.
asking me the hard questions. Kidding. They're great questions, and I think they're important for us to answer. In terms of the FTX partnership, we wanted to reassure our clients that nothing has changed. So I don't think, and all our partners are really excited about it. I think all of them have been super hyped. And again, like we had a really awesome, I think, in Vegas, we had this awesome Resorts World display ad that was basically on the building that showed all of our partnerships as well. We want to make sure that at the end of the day, our partners are taken care of. It doesn't matter, you are not less, you are not more. We all love you guys. So I think I don't think that affected in any way. I think our partners were very, very, very excited for the announcement. But again, when we talk to other brands, we want to make sure, and this is also a sales thought as well. I think we want to make sure that we aren't working or outreaching to conflicting brands. We want to make sure that again we are reaching out to the correct and right brands that would work with TSM. So I don't think that there is any issues, that we all, like, our brands enjoy being a part of the TSM family, and I think we all get along. So no issues there.
That's absolutely it. And I think there's so much that comes with the hype of being the largest deal in esports history that, brands want to partner with us because we are the biggest team that are able to make these type of deals. They want to join the coattails and join the waves of our success. I think at the end of the day, a lot of brands are coming back to us based off this news. I'm reaching out and it's become easier all of a sudden because they understand, again, obviously if a brand like FTX is going to be going all in with this type of dollar investment, they're comfortable because we're the best and there's potential in our industry. And obviously, and not only do the brands that we talk to want to see us grow, but obviously you, the fans, right? You guys, I think it's awesome. A lot of all fans want to see their passion grow in that space, and the money being dumped into us just only means that growth, right? We're going to be dedicating that to everything around performance and making sure we stay the best team ever, and that'll stay for a very, 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 very long time. So again, great question. To sync up your another great question, Tax Evasion also asked, relationships to fans, players, and partners are an essential aspect of your job. How do you build these relationships, and how do you change these strategies based on who you're trying to build a relationship with?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Tax Evasion. I love your in terms of basically building relationships, right? I'm working with people that I've never met my whole life. And so again, it's really vital that while we work with these brands, we want to make sure that they're just not another transaction in our books. We want to make them feel welcomed. We want to make sure that, I know, like, your Sunday yoga days, whatever it is. I enjoy knowing that because I can talk about my random Pilates days. But basically establishing friendships and also team friendship, establishing friendships and also like close relationships with not the account managers that we work with and just the overall brand. I think we really value making sure that we're establishing strong relationships. I don't see anything outside of that. So I think that's really important for me. Like sometimes I text or I ping my, the people that I work with, clients that I work with, and I'm just like, hey, like, it's your birthday, let me send you some flowers. Being able to just like let them feel like, hey, like, you are taking care of me and also you are caring about me, like that feels great, and that hits close to the heart. So yeah, I think yeah. For sure.
No, sorry, because you are 100% more willing to do business with a friend, right? You're going to feel comfortable with that. And part of it is building that relationship. Just like if you were to treat a friend out to lunch or if you were to give them a gift, we definitely replicate that model. And a lot of business is about relationships. So if there's anything from a sales angle that I can teach you guys, build relationships, learn how to make friends, have that conversation. It takes a little bit of an extrovertedness, but it's a great way to start business routes and just a great way to make friends. Who doesn't like more friends, right? They pay you, so that's also really cool. But the friendship, it's the power of friendship, guys. That's the TSM motto, the power of friendship. I see that we have a next question, and I hope this is it, but I'm pretty sure it couldn't be anyone else. But the next question is from the one, the only M. Kroll, who asks, what is Skye's favorite partnership activation that she's ever worked on? There is a correct and wrong answer here. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Assuming
God.
this is correct.
So, to not play favorites, but also kind of playing favorites, my favorite Lenovo Legion. My favorite Lenovo Legion activation that I worked on. I really enjoyed. Okay, this is very cheesy, but I really enjoyed this, and Emily, I'm sure you've enjoyed this as well. But I really loved this activation we did in Q4, which was the Wardell gameplay activation. This tough because I also like the Apex one too. So we did this really fun giveaway, like gameplay type of activation where again we wanted to tie in the community with Lenovo Legion. And so we had fun activations where we raffled off and had a giveaway where fans can win awesome Lenovo Legion gear, whether it was laptops or a tower. And then we also had like a raffle of like you would be able to play with Reps and Hal, and you would be able to play with Wardell. My favorite thing is just fan interaction. Fans are what make TSM. Fans are what make esports. At the end of the day, they are the vital part of esports. And so being able to see a player or a fan light up and just be like, I get to play with Wardell on Valorant, or I get to play with Hal on Apex. That's so exciting to me. And I think that's what got me into esports. And so for me, that puts a really warm spot in my heart because I really enjoyed those activations. I loved talking to those winners and those fans. And also being able to work with an amazing person, aka Emily Kroll. I really enjoyed those activations. I think again, we want to have that warm, fuzzy feeling with our fans, and we want to make sure that they are happy and excited for this activation. So, I think those are my favorite ones. Oh, look at this! Look at this! Adorama. Actually, fun fact. Emily, don't kill me for saying this story. we had a couple activations with Adorama and Lenovo. And for some reason, a lot of our players had a struggle of saying Adorama. So we heard Adorma and sorry to Adorama. We got it taken care of, but we had a couple players say Adorma, Adrama, and I was just like, I am so sorry, Emily, but we will get that taken care of. And so it was definitely a fun activation overall. I really enjoyed it, and I love working with Emily in general. So shouts out.
But how awkward / funny would that be if that's not actually Emily? It's just M. Kroll and there's an alternate universe. But Emily, sorry to call you out. We're just fangirling over here. And Emily's also a great example of kind of that previous question about building relationships. Like as Lenovo Legion is one of our favorite partners to work with, absolutely, just because we built that type of relationship. Another name, going to throw you under the bus here, Mark Hubbard, right? I am still working on my GIF clip of our in-house tournaments where I kill him consecutively in League. One of my favorite things to do. Mark, how are you doing in the bot lane over there? But again, another great example of just great people to work with and just how you can build relationships and not only work business with, but also work with your friends that you can develop over the years in the industry. Cool. Moving on, we got another question. Oh, actually, I'm sorry. I almost skipped you, Panda. we have another voice question from Panda. Panda, how you doing, man?
Hello.
Long time no see.
No, Panda. Panda in the house. Let's go.
Oh man, sorry, we're embarrassing. How you doing, Panda? What's your question?
I was curious, what would you say are the most important skills for working with partners?
Yeah, there's a couple I think are very valuable when working with partners in the partnerships team. First and foremost, communication is key. I think it's really important to be able to know to say no to, I can't talk right now, know when to say the right thing. I think it's really important to also be very transparent and also be kind with your words. I think that's really, really, really vital in terms of essential elements in in the partnership side. I think another thing I think would be really valuable is learning extensively, or not extensively. You know, you're not a coder, but learning Excel, learning formulas. Shout outs to again Captain Research. He is awesome. Alec is our amazing Excel master, but you know, being able to have those skill sets and being able to formulate awesome formulas to integrate, like whether it's metrics that we're looking for, a lot of things, right, in that side. So I think like being able to understand Google Suites pretty well. And lastly, I would say it's really awesome to be able to understand like creative, whether it's, you know, learning design or learning graphics. It's really helpful for yourself as well. And I think a lot of companies value it. It's not mentioned as much, but I think it's really important to have those essential, like just being able to have some knowledge there will really help in the long run, especially at partnerships. Like we work on decks, we work on designs when we're creating campaigns, we work with the creative team to do so, but being able to add those additional elements or, you know, sharing our thoughts that are logistically sound and they make sense, it's really good to be able to have or apply those specific skill sets towards them. So I think those ones so far I think will be really valuable. I know it's not blatant, like I don't think that people are expecting you to be a master graphics designer, but being able to understand it and having simple skills around it would be really, really important.
Yeah, Panda, that's absolutely. And I think at the end of the day, it's all about understanding. I think it goes back to understanding your passion and what you love, but getting really particular in one skill and being the go-to person for that skill, right? Like understanding that like they have to go to you for this one thing, whether if it's Alec and Excel sheets. Personally, I've been really working on my deck skills for the last, 5 or so years. Once you kind of get that specialty, that's the skill that you kind of just need to learn, because at the end of the day, that's your go-to and that's your niche.
Thank you guys for your time.
Absolutely. No, thank you, Panda. Thank you.
Panda, you're awesome.
Awesome. Cool. So we have a question from Parth as well. Parth also asks, in traditional sports, bringing in a high-profile agent or trading for one can spark sales or help in terms of tickets. Have you seen that for a partnership? Or in esports, is it with content creators rather than players, with an example being Myth?
Yeah, that's the awesome part about TSM, right? I mean, we have a mix of competitive players that are also very high profile. We have amazing players. I'm not picking favorites, but I'll shout out a couple of them. You've seen players like Imperial Hal. You've seen players like Wardell, these superstar players who have grown alongside with TSM and become those superstars, right? So for us being able to culminate with those players and basically help them build themselves up is really important and vital on our end. And I think that's what makes us unique. We're not just like another brand where we're like, let's just sign random players. We're also signing. Sorry, we can also hear my boyfriend talk about talking to my dog. But yeah, like being able to for us build our talent not only competitively but also brand wise as well is really awesome. It goes hand in hand. And again, we also have the awesome sets of talent like Myth. We have awesome sets of talent that you all have seen and are familiar with and love at the end of the day. So I think that is what's so unique about TSM, is that we have the plethora of different types of talent, and we're also building our talent. It's not like, hey, let's just sign every single talent we see. It's like we want to make sure that it's right for TSM, and we also want to make sure that we're growing them as well, and making sure that they are growing as players and also as talent overall.
Yeah, I think it goes back to it goes back to kind of that FTX similar where we talked about the jumping off the leverage of how big that was. Players can absolutely come. I think I had conversation with the brands when we first signed Sword Art. We're just coming off. That was great. People were really interested, especially looking at the salary. And non-endemic brands can always catch on with that number in general. So anything exciting in the space, brands love. Yeah. Let's go to a question for Derek N, who also asks, when educating / working with non-endemic brands who are just entering or relatively new to esports, do you find it that is easier or more difficult if you are working with individuals who have experience with partnerships in traditional sports? It's a great question.
I think that is a good question. And I think in terms of whether it's difficult or not, I don't think so. I think that, again, like, especially with my role, like, we have to learn how to adapt when we're working with all clients. Not all clients are the same. So we want to make sure that we understand, what their needs are and make sure that we can help them out as much as we can. So again, for me personally, maybe it's not for other people. I think it's not too difficult. I think what's really important is we have that complete, transparency during the onboarding process, so we can have complete understanding of what they are looking for or what they're looking out of the partnership. So,
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
No, that's absolutely, and from a sales perspective, it's a little bit my end too, where really a lot of these brands who maybe have previous experience traditional sports, they understand the differences, but it also goes back to the educating piece about how we're not actually the exact same. From a value perspective, we're catching up, if not, entertainment and esports is almost becoming the future in that sense. So again, obviously depends on the person we're talking to, and you kind of gauge on what they think and what their firm beliefs on traditional versus esports is. But it's all about educating and really trying to provide that value of why it might be esports over traditional if it's in that light, or maybe it's just having a conversation of being like why we're similar, or why we have the exact same value but further. Right. I think, one of my favorite lines is the personal aspect that esports gets that you might not have in traditional sports, right? Where we have one player talking to basically one-on-one, but to millions of people on Twitch, right? Versus sometimes you get that distance in traditional sports where they're just playing ball on the stage and might not get that personal aspect and they're seen as a super celebrity, right?
Yeah, for sure. And just to also note too, when we're working with endemic brands, like, obviously we're trying to learn their goals and stuff, and there are like some things or subsets that are make it a little bit easier when they're like already understanding the space and they understand what esports is. We have other things that we need to focus on that could be as difficult, whether it's like understanding what their brand is. I think there isn't a true answer. I've been like kind of dancing around it. I don't think there's actually a true answer to it, because I think that each brand that we work with has different aspects that we need to, onboard and teach them with. And so there isn't this brand is harder than the other. It's like, sure, this brand is easier in terms of not having to explain esports to them, but they may be other things that we need to learn and adapt to in terms of what their focuses are. Like, what are they looking to do out of this partnership? What are their goals? Like, how is their brand voice or brand identity? How can we identify it and make sure that we align their goals and identity with the TSM brand? So I don't think there's a true answer to it. I think there's a mix of things that makes it, for me, all brands are as equal in terms of finding what's difficult and not difficult.
Absolutely. All right, let's go to the next question. Ash asks, how would you recommend reaching out to other people in the esports industry for networking? How do you make the first step into building that connection?
Deep easy. Let me tell you what. I'm sorry. I just made a small like King of the Hill reference. So let me tell you what, Ash, in terms of being able to network within the space, I think there's a lot of awesome tools. We have Twitter, we have LinkedIn, especially with LinkedIn. I think people should not be afraid to look up the company that they're interested in working with. You see, like, for example, you're really interested in working in the partnership side at TSM or at Cloud9 or CLG, wherever it is. You'll look it up and see who's working there. I recommend sending them a message on LinkedIn and saying, hey, like, I'm so and so, and I'm very interested in working in this space. I'd like to learn more about it, and I would like to learn more about you. And ask for advice. Never be afraid of reaching out to anybody in that way. I think most of us don't bite, and we'd be excited to see young people just getting into esports. For me, it's just like I'm so excited to hear when somebody wants to learn more about the partnership side or learn more about how to get into esports, because for me, I didn't have that tool. So when I came in, I was like, what the hell is this? Excuse my language, but I was so confused. I didn't know necessarily what I wanted to do in esports just yet. I was just applying what I was excited about, but I wish I had that mentor. I wish I had reached out to people or professionals within the space. So I recommend doing that. I recommend just reaching out, whether it's tweeting at somebody, sending a message, whatever it is, what worked for you. We also have an amazing platform here at TSMU. If you want to reach out to any of the industry professionals, feel free to do so. I recommend it very much. So, no, she's here. Yeah.
Oh, go ahead there. No,
No. Go ahead. You go, Christian.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm cutting off. I'm a horrible host. No, I think it's also that about understanding those environments, right? To your point, Skye, where it's LinkedIn is a great space for it. TSMU is an amazing space for it, right? Asking those type of questions in an environment where they're in there for the same reason to answer, right? I think a lot of it is also to help stand out, right? Come up with something, that you provide values on your end. Like, why should I kind of like, obviously as humans, we like to talk about ourselves and everything, but I think part of standing out and getting them to respond is doing something witty and creative. Maybe it's a funny meme if you think it's that the similar lights, or something that would along the lines to help you call out a little bit more. Cool. We have a next question from Ali as well. How did you get your first job in the industry? What was that experience like? And do you have any advice for others on landing that first job?
So for me, I was very interested. I think this is the crazy story. I was really interested in getting into esports after, I think, my first tournament that I went to for funsies. It was MLG Anaheim. And I was so enamored. I was like, holy crap, I want to be in this space. So I saw posting on social media for content gaming, and they were looking for social people and also content creators. So I reached out. I was like, hey, I'm very interested in this. Here are the skills that I can apply. And so that's how I got into the role. But that was back in the grassroots days. I don't recommend doing that now. I think the best way in terms of landing a job in esports is, one, networking is really important. Whether it's like, for example, if you're interested in working on the sales side and you want to learn more and you want to learn more about the role that is currently available, reach out to, sorry, Christian, if you're going to get a bunch of messages, but reach out to,
no, I love it.
Yeah, reach out to Christian about, the role and say like, hey, like, my name is XYZ. I'm very interested in the sales role here at TSM. I'd love to learn more. Could you help me in terms of preparation? Could you help me in terms of understanding the role? Being able to have that complete transparency and establishing the relationship with that person at that time is really important. And I would say, don't be afraid to reach out. I think it's really great that people want to learn more before they get their feet wet, right? So definitely reach out, definitely ask questions, and call for a meeting. Ask when it's safe to go. Sorry if you guys can hear my Roomba. My Roomba's outside. Again, like, ask when it's safe to go out and have interaction with other people. Ask for a cup of coffee. They're like, hey, can I come meet up, have a cup of coffee, learn more about TSM, whatever it is. I think people in our field would really appreciate that you're interested in working within the company and also learning more about the industry in the field. I don't think an investor going to be like, heck no, we don't want to spend any time talking to you. I think all of us love it. So for sure.
Absolutely. I align. I do have one request. Maybe don't do this for other people because you don't want to be sending random memes out to as professional says. But if you are coming from TSMU, hit me with that. I'm coming from TSMU and I love memes, anything funny. I do request that it's anime themed. I'm a huge weeb. Again, just do it for me. Maybe don't send random memes to other professionals, but I'm happy to answer calls, and I know Skye is as well.
Does that mean I can send you anime memes?
No, you don't already. Basically, half our messages. I'm kidding. We work. We do serious things. we just answer each other's emails with I'm just kidding. Oh man, we have time for one more question from Karuz. What are the most important statistics to show to brands for partnerships?
Most important statistics. I think this is varying between brands that we work with. Again, when we have that onboarding process, we're asking, what are your goals? What do you value the most out of the partnerships and in campaigns? Whether it's impressions, whether it's engagement rates, whether it's that media value you get, whatever it is. I don't think there is specific ones. I think there are standard ones that you probably have seen so far if you worked with partners. Again, like post campaign, if it's a social media post or a social media campaign overall, they're going to want to know about the views, the media views. They're going to want to know about the impressions. And also, at the end of the day, like fan sentiment, making sure that, again, the fans are aligned, because we don't want to hear or see ever people going #sold out. We want to make sure that these campaigns that we are creating and that we are culminating within the space make sense at the end of the day, and they aren't just a blatant logo slap or a blatant obvious ad. I think it should be clever, and so that's what we do here at TSM. We want to make sure that those are hitting those pinpoints and making sure our clients are aware of that. And setting up expectations of, hey, like, we totally understand what your goals are. We want to make sure that those goals are being hit, but we also want to make sure that it makes sense and it's genuine and it's seamless.
That's absolutely it. And again, it's really dependent on who we're talking to. We flex out and make sure that we align on the exact metrics that they're looking for. At this time, I'd like to thank everyone for attending. This has been an awesome show. I had a great time. I don't know about you, Skye. I felt like the dynamic was live. It was real. This is what everyone gets, by the way, in our partnership sales calls. Maybe we're sick of it, so please let us know if we actually suck. But it was fun. Thanks again for joining us, Skye.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of tired of talking to you all day, Christian. I feel like I've been in calls with you back to back, so I'm a little tired. I'm just kidding. I definitely, again, we definitely enjoyed just the synergy here at TSM and the sales partnerships team. I had a great time meeting and talking to a lot of people here. I think Christian did as well. So thank you so much, guys.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. I wanted to let everyone know also about our next episode featuring our very special guest, Ben Green, who's the community manager at the one and only Lenovo. That will be June 23rd at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So please join the TSMU family at discord.gg/TSMU, and you'll be seeing updates there. Ben is great. I was on his show. So you got in for a treat. And again, with the Lenovo love to peace out here. So hopefully to see you guys next week. But again, thank you guys so much for joining us. It was lovely seeing y'all.